Hello, students. You're welcome to today's lesson on punctuation marks and their functions. I am Romeso Adeyemo with the brand name English with RMG, and this video is proudly sponsored by IOTA Virtual Learning Platform. In this video, you are going to learn all you need to know about punctuation marks in order for you to become an effective writer so that you can communicate the exact meaning that you intend with your words in writing. And so that your readers can understand the exact point of view that you have while you are writing your write up. Also, it will assist you to excel excellently in any of your written English examination. So, are you ready to learn with me today? Get your writing materials and stay tuned. So, what are punctuation marks? But before we go into the definition, I would like you to look at these two sentences. The first one reads, "Let's eat grandma." We only have an exclamation mark at the end, and it means that you are suggesting that, oh, let's feast on grandma. Do you understand? That is quite funny. I don't mean that we should eat any grandma. It's only an explanation. Do you understand? So the second one is let's eat grandma. So with the help of the comma, we are able to do what? Have another meaning, which is to invite grandma to the dining table to come and eat. Probably you stay with your grandma and you are trying to invite them to come and eat. Do you understand? So just by using different punctuation marks, I'm able to derive what? Different meaning in the same sentences, the same set of words. Do you understand? So this is what punctuation marks help us to do. It help us to do what? To clarify meaning or to send across the meaning that we intend with the words or the letters that we have used. So now let's consider the definition of the punctuation marks. Punctuation marks are marks such as the full stop, the comma, the colon, which are used in writing to clarify meanings. That is, sometimes we might intend different meaning with the same expression. Are you following? So, just like what we have in the previous sentences that we use, let's eat grammar, suggesting to feast on grammar. Let's eat grammar, inviting grammar to the table. Do you understand? So just by using the right punctuation mark, you can actually pass across different meanings. So this is why it is crucial for you to understand, to learn the punctuation marks and understand how to use them effectively if you would like to write the English language effectively. Do you understand? Whether it is for academic purposes or for other purposes or just for sending information to your friends and family. If you are not using the punctuation mark the right way, they might not get the exact meaning that you are trying to pass across. Also, when we speak, we have the opportunity to use hand gesture, shrug our shoulders, you know, position our facial expression in a particular way so that our listener can understand us better. However, in writing, all that we have is just the pen and the paper, or if we are typing, all that we have is the letters. So, how do we clarify meaning without being present with our listener or our reader? And that is where the punctuation marks come in. The punctuation marks serve as the purpose of our gestures, our facial expression. We can always express all of this with our what? Our punctuation marks. And this is why it is crucial for you to understand the usage of the punctuation marks. Not don't just know them. You need to also learn how to use each of it effectively. Are you following? So, in other words, punctuation marks are special conventional symbols, such as the full stop, the comma, and the colon, used in writing to separate elements and accentuate meanings in writing. Are you following? So, it helps us to separate elements. Do you understand? Whether sometimes when it is a comma, we can use it to separate items in a list. And it also helps us to pass across the right meaning that we want intend. So, for example, we have I bought rice, beans, plantain, and nuts from the neighborhood store. So, by using the comma to separate rice from beans from plantain, As I was saying it, I was pausing a little bit. So it is this pause that I made with the tone of my voice that I'm also accentuating by using the comma. So that when my reader also reads it, they can read it with the exact tone with which I have said it in my mind. Do you understand? So example 2, 3, and 4, we have come here, ending with a full stop. That's a statement. But if I say, come here, that's a command. So it has some form of emotion in it. So I'm going to end it with a what? An exclamation mark, not a full stop. Or if I go on to say, come here, that's a question. With the tone of my voice, I'm able to accentuate different meaning on the same words in different contexts. Do you understand? So the same thing that I've done with the tone of my voice, I can also do it with different punctuations once I know my punctuation very well and I know their functions. Are you following? So, the usage of punctuation marks might not really be straightforward. Like you can learn spelling from your dictionary. But once you take your time to learn them and understand how to use it, then you'll be able to use it effectively henceforth. Do you understand? So now let's look at each of the punctuation marks and their functions because it is not enough for you to know it. You also need to know their functions. So before we go to that, I need you to understand that punctuation marks are generally divided into two. We have the end marks and the internal marks. So the end marks are often used at the end of sentences. Once you use an end mark, it means that you are saying this is the end of this sentence. But for internal punctuations, you can use it in between. You can use this punctuation and continue writing whatever it is that you're writing in between that sentence. Do you understand? So there are three major types of what end marks. And they are the full stop, the exclamation mark, and the what? The question mark. So let's look at the function of each of it. The end marks are three. Kindly note, please. The full stop, the question mark, and the exclamation mark. They are the three major end marks in punctuations. Once you use them, you have terminated that sentence. So you need to start a new, fresh expression or a new, fresh sentence. Are you following? Sometimes some students write the question mark and they also put full stop at the back of the question mark. No, this is incorrect. The question mark itself is an end mark. So once you use it, you do not need any full stop after it. You have already told us that, oh, this is the end of this once you use a question mark because it is a full end mark on its own. Do you understand? So let's begin with the full stop. Why do you need full stop in writing? What are the functions of the full stop in writing? So, one, the full stop is used to mark off a complete declarative statement. So, this is the commonest function of what the full stop. Once you have written a full declarative sentence, you end it with a full stop. Do you understand? So, example, we have Ade traveled to London last week. Full stop. This is a simple sentence. Do you understand? So, a sentence can be longer than this, and it may also be shorter than this. But once you are sure that this is a full-fledged declarative sentence, then you should terminate it with a what? With a full stop. Once it is declarative, you terminate it with a what? With a full stop. Another example we have, I love learning the English language. That's another what? Simple declarative sentence. I want to believe that all students know how to use full stop for this purpose because it is so common. So let's look at another function of the full stop, which is to mark up abbreviations. To mark off abbreviations. So, we abbreviate a lot when we write. And the full stop may be used or may not be used at the end of abbreviations ending with the same letter as the full word and abbreviations of countries and organizations such as DR for doctor, MR full stop for Mr. or UN dot dot for United Nations. So, what do I mean by this? When we abbreviate, we tend to put a full stop at the end of it for us to show that this is not the full spelling of this word. I have omitted some of the spellings for some reasons. Do you understand? So, however, if the words that you have abbreviated, the abbreviation you are using begins with the same letter, just like we have in doctor. Doctor begins with D and it also ends with what? R. And you're abbreviating it, we have DR, beginning and end. It is not compulsory for you to put a full stop at the end of it. So you can write doctor without a full stop and it will be correct. You can write Mr. without a full stop and you are not going to be penalized for it because you are correct. However, you need to be consistent. Don't write doctor in your line 1 with full stop and then you go to line 3, you write doctor without full stop. No, that would be inconsistencies. You need to be consistent with whatever format you want to choose. So let's look at these examples. We have RD dot full stop or RD without the full stop for road. That's even quite common. Road, if you see RD, you know that it is road, especially if it is in an address. So we can also have BBC with the full stop or BBC without the full stop for British Broadcasting Corporation. In fact, people don't commonly use the full stop for names of organization because it is easier to just write it. And these organizations are common organizations. Once you see BBC, you know that they are referring to British Broadcasting Corporation. Do you understand? So it is not compulsory for you to use the full stop. However, if you use the full stop, you are also not wrong. But whatever it is that you have adopted, whether it is to use or not to use, you need to be what? Consistent. Also for your WAEC as well, you might want to put the full stop or you might not want to put the full stop, depending on what you choose to do. Do you understand? But whatever it is that you choose, again, I'm reiterating, please be consistent with it. Are you following? Are you following? So I hope you've gotten the logic behind using full stop for abbreviations like this, especially for words that begin and end with the same letters and for names of organization. I hope you've gotten the logic. However, I would want you to note that for abbreviations that don't end with the last letter of the word, for doctor, it ends with R, which is also the last letter. But for words such as ED for education, education did not end with D. Gov for government, gov didn't end with T. Do you understand? Gen for general, pub for publication or public. Then you need to use a full stop at the end of it. Do you understand? Because that word didn't end. So in order for you to the purpose of punctuation is to clarify meaning. So in order for you to clarify meaning so that your reader can understand that, oh, this is an abbreviation, it didn't end with it. Do you understand? I've omitted some words. So you need to do what? Put your full stop at the end of abbreviations like this. Especially when the abbreviations are not quite common. Do you understand? So for BBC, UN, they are very common. You don't need to clarify so much meanings. Once your reader read them, they know what you are actually referring to. But for abbreviations like this, you need to be very careful. Use your full stop at the end of it so that you can clarify the meaning of the words that you have written. So, function number 3 of full stop for internet and email addresses, often pronounced as dot. So, we are in the computer age. Everybody has an email address now. Almost every business has what? A website. Do you understand? So, for example, we have sportsman@gmail.com. So, we have the full stop there, but it is pronounced as dot. www.sportsman.com.ng. So, the full stop is also used as what? As part of internet addresses. So, for the decimal point, full stop helps us to clarify the meaning of the value of each of the numbers. So for example, what we have 50 naira, point what? 65 kobo. So with that full stop, we're able to know that the value of 65 is not the same as the value of 50. The same thing for the next one, 1.22 mm. So you know that the value of 1 is not the same as the value of what? 22. If that full stop is not there, then we are going to assume that all the numbers on the line are of the same value. Do you understand? So in calculation, full stop also help us. So now let's look at common errors that are often associated with the use of what? The full stop. These are based on my observation when I read students' essays. So number 1 is Omission of full stop at the end of declarative sentences. So sometimes, trust me, I've seen a full paragraph without any form of punctuation. We said that punctuation helps us to clarify meaning. So if you have written a full page and you have not punctuated, it simply means that whatever it is that you have written is meaningless. So please try as much as possible to always punctuate your essays effectively, punctuate it correctly so that you can write meaningful expressions. Do you understand? So, for example, let's look at this paragraph. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. The earth rotates on its axis to create day and night. The planets orbit the sun in an elliptical path, and this movement is responsible for the changing seasons throughout the year. So you would notice that there is no punctuation in this paragraph, and that is why I could not even stop in between. Do you understand? If I had a full stop, I would know that, oh, I'm supposed to pause here. If I had a comma, I would know that I'm supposed to pause here. But because there's no punctuation, I just had to keep reading and reading and reading. Do you understand? So now let's read it with the full stop now, with the punctuation marks now. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. The earth rotates on its axis to create day and night. The planet orbits the sun in an elliptical path, and this movement is responsible for the changing seasons throughout the year. So look at this now. With the full stop, I'm able to read it with the intended meaning. I know where to stop. In order for me to get the exact meaning that the write-up is trying to do what? Pass across. However, do you still notice any anomaly with this paragraph? Because sometimes some students make this mistake as well. There is still something that needs to be corrected in this paragraph. Can you notice it? If you can, tell me in the comment. Tell me in the comment. I would like to know if you can notice the anomaly. And that is the fact that after the full stop, the writer continued with a what? A small letter instead of the writer to continue with a capital letter. So now I've changed it to the what? The capital letter. So don't also make that mistake. After the full stop, you've ended whatever it is that you have written. Now you are starting a fresh sentence, then you start with a what? A capital letter. Capitalizing is also part of what? Punctuation marks, because it shows us that this is the beginning of this thing. Do you understand? So you also need to always begin with a what? A fresh sentence with a capital letter. After the full stop, you begin with a what? A capital letter. Are you following? So do you have any question on the usage of full stop? Please, if you do, put it in the comment. So now let's move on to the next end mark, which is the question mark. We are discussing the end marks. We've discussed the full stop. Now let's discuss the question mark. Why do we need to use question mark in our write-up? What are its functions? So the question mark, number one, is used to mark off the end of direct questions. Please note, direct questions. When you ask a direct question, you should always end it with a what? A question mark. So let's consider a few examples. We have, what is your name? Can I come in? Are you ready? So you can see that these three sentences have ended with a what? Question mark, because they are direct question. Where are you going? Where are the car keys? Where is my bag? When are we going for the vacation? So all of these are what? Direct questions. So you end them with a what? A question mark. However, you need to note that a question mark is not used at the end of reported questions in indirect speech. That is, when someone has asked something and now you want to say that that person asked that thing, then don't put the question mark. Since it is not as if you want to quote that person, do you understand? You are reporting, so you don't need the question mark. So, for example, I asked him if he was ready to go. That's a statement. End it with a full stop. Do you understand? Don't end it with a question mark. Mom asked me if I had eaten. End it with a full stop, not with a question mark. Are you following? Because it is now a reported statement. It is now a declarative statement, no longer a direct question. Are you following? So now let's look at the common errors that are often associated with the usage of question mark. Yes, students make mistakes with the usage of question mark as well. And the first one is usage of full stop at the end of questions instead of question mark. Yeah. From my personal experience, especially when I read students' informal letter, in your informal letter, you begin with the pleasantries. Hello, Uncle Bayo, for example. How are you doing? At the end of how are you doing, some students will put a full stop. How are you doing is a direct question. So you should end it with a what? A question mark. And only a question mark. Do not put a full stop after that question mark. Do you understand? So don't write where are you going and then you put a full stop. No. Do not say how are you doing, then you end it with a full stop. No. These are direct questions that you should end with a what? A question mark. So you should say, how are you doing? Question mark. Where are you going? Question mark. When are you coming back home? Uncle Bayo. End it with a what? Question mark. So another common error is not beginning with a capital letter after the question mark. Yeah. So some students don't even know that a question mark is an end mark on its own. So after the question mark, they continue with a small letter. That is incorrect. Do you understand? So after saying, let's say you say, how are you doing? And the next thing you want to say is, hope you are doing well. That hope, it will be wrong for you to begin it with a small letter. Are you following? Because you've used an end mark, so you should start a fresh sentence. Hope should begin with a what? A capital letter. Where are you going? I would like to know. So I would like to know that I should be what? In capital letter. Even if it is not I, I'm still going to say something on that I, however. So, and what I want to say on I is that whether I is in the beginning of a sentence, in the middle, at the bottom, wherever your first person pronoun is, capitalize it. Never ever write your first person pronoun as a small letter. I've seen students make this mistake a lot. I am going to the cinema, and then you write the I as a small letter because it is not beginning the sentence. Whether it is beginning the sentence or not, I, first person pronoun, should always be in capital letter. Do you understand? It should always be in capital letter. Wherever it is, even if it is at the end of the sentence, even though it is most likely not going to be at the end of sentence. If it's at the end of a sentence, you write it in a capital letter. Do you understand? So now let's move on to our next punctuation mark, which is the exclamation mark. Are you ready? And which is the last punctuation mark. But before we continue, do you have any questions? If you have any question, put it in the comments. I'll be glad to answer your question. Trust me, you do not want to miss the usage of exclamation mark because students rarely use it. And if you use it, your reader is going to perceive you as a good English user. So click on the link in the comment section to continue watching this informative video. Or you click on the screen. If you see the pop-up, you can click on the screen and just continue watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Let them benefit as well. This is English with RMG, and this video is proudly brought to you by IOTA Virtual Learning Platform.